Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Proops.
This is Jordan Harbinger.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
This is Nathan East.
Sebastian Younger.
This is Rick Marotta.
This is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick Gillette.
This is Andy Summers.
Hey, this is Skunk Baxter.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is Jon Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
And now, the Break It Down Show with Jon Leon Guerrero and Pete A. Turner.
Man, our guest today is Derek Allen, DOA. He is a ultra successful musician whose list of credits is a mile long. We're going to talk about a lot of those credits, but I'm going to start by saying, Derek, your name has come up on this show so frequently that at some point I was like, man, we got to hunt Derek down. And yeah. I know that's kind of a strange thing to hear, a little bit stalkerish, but it started a few weeks ago. We had the incomparable Lenny Williams on the show. And one of the things I said was, I grew up, my dad's a sax player. So of course we had a steady dose of Tower in the house. And I said, but you are still active, man. And there's a song that plays in my house that everybody loves called She Took My Draws. And he said, you know what? I made that song with Derek Allen, DOA. And I was like, I remember DOA from way back in the day. My cousin Daryl Carbolito had a studio called Rhythm City that I worked at with him. And he had a partner named Bobby Ford. And Bobby Ford was his first partner. And then Bobby splintered off and got into mastering. And then he had a partner named Melvin Carter. And Mel Carter was there for a while. And then Mel Carter, may he rest in peace, he's passed on. And then he had a partner named Jimmy Weaver, who's a sax player. And they all seem to know you because you are originally from Sacramento.
Absolutely.
So now it's not that I expect you to know all of these people, but everybody knows you because you emerged from Sacramento. Now, for our viewers, Derek began his first road gig as a touring bass player happened when he was 8 years old.
Yes, sir.
And so he's been getting after it for a while.
Sir. Absolutely, man. And first of
how
all,
do you get a gig as an 8-year-old?
Well, first of all, let me just say, John, first of all, thank you for having me, man. I'm really honored to be sitting here talking to my fellow brother just right up the street, man. Didn't even know we're that close and that connected. Well, actually, John, it started for me at that age. I was playing quartet music as a third grader. With a group called the Famous Pearly Gates here locally in Sacramento, California. So I was born and raised on that quartet scene. And quartet has been a major part of my life and still is to this day. I mean, everything pretty much, people don't know everything I do is pretty much quartet, but it started at 8 years old as playing bass with these grown guys. And they were also, some of my mentors and my forefathers, and they helped raise me. And, it started right there, man. Yeah, third grade. And I went on tour. They took me on my first tour, in a van and a trailer. And we went down, did the Southern markets and, the Southern thing. It was really, our quartet music was really blazing down there. So ended up doing 2 tours with them, throughout the whole time. And yes, that's where it started at.
Wow. Well, I just want to highlight the times that your name came up on this show just in the last few weeks. So we had Lenny Williams was on, and then we had, who came up next? We had the guys from Cult Jam on, and Alex, the guitar player in Cult Jam, was talking about how he was, when he after Lisa and Cult Jam kind of had their heyday, he said, well, then I went on the road with Bobby Brown. And just coincidentally, I had just come back. That was a couple days after I had just come back from a wedding in Las Vegas. And at that wedding in Las Vegas was a guy named Larry White, who had played bass for Bobby Brown. So naturally I go, oh, you were toured with Bobby Brown. You must know Larry White. And he said, well, I do know Larry White, but he wasn't the bass player on that tour. The bass player on that tour was Derek Allen, DOA. And I was like, well, that's funny. Here his name comes up again. Wow. And then we're still not done. And then we had Howard Hewitt on the show. And of course, you played with Shalimar. And we're still not done because not long after that, we had, who else did we have? Oh, about 2 weeks ago, we had Chucky Booker. So your name has come up on this show so many times that I just had to say, you know what? If there's somebody we should talk to about getting gigs, it's DOA.
Well, I appreciate that, man. First of all, with Alex, man, Mosley, man, that's my brother. We toured, in the earlier part of the 90s on the Bobby tour. Larry was in Dennis and Zorro, Flip, and Alex Alessandroni was Bobby's first band, but we kind of I kind of came in at the band playing with Flip on the Bobby album. That happened even, and then that's where I met Alex for the first time. And man, just a great dude, man. I miss that dude so much. Just heck of funny, and of course, yes, man, definitely the great Howard Hewitt, Larry White, and then my brother, Chucky Booker, man. Come on, man. If it wasn't for Chucky Booker and God, I wouldn't be here. So that's all I can really say about that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that encapsulates your career, but let's dig into the details a little bit, because when you're an 8-year-old and you're on the road, that's a good start.
Yes.
So
Great.
talk about that you're in Sacramento, but eventually you left Sacramento and kind of moved to the nucleus of the music business.
Yes, I did. 1985, my best friend and I, who we started together in, I was 8, he was 9, and we started playing quartet music together. So we were connected together as kids, and we grew up, through our high school. We went to different high schools, but we were still playing in quartet bands. And in '85, he and I just decided to chase the dream. There was a brother here who was like everybody. He was like our leader and still is to this day. He's passed on, but brother by the name of Robert Brookins, I'm sure a lot of people know who he is. And Robert he was a hero to all of us, man. I mean, we was watching Robert go on and come in often on the road, playing with George Duke, Stanley Clarke when he was a teenager.
Yeah.
I mean, he did Ed Sullivan's show as a kid and played with B.B. King at 10 years old. And his career just was crazy. And he influenced all of us. And he was doing great things at a young age. And me and Flip were inspired by him, so we just took off, man. We just left in 1985. And we didn't look back. I mean, we left. We had a living situation out there. We ended up going to Orange County in Irvine, and we had a little small living situation. Not small, it was great, but it didn't last long. So, but we knew one thing: when we wore out that welcome, we were not heading back, north to Sacramento. We were saying, okay, let's just move further to LA. We spent a lot of months and time sleeping in the car and where we could sleep, and people were opening up the doors for us, letting these two little, this bass player, drummer, these two black kids from Sacramento. We was trying to make a name for ourselves, and God put some of the right people in our path. There was a struggle for almost 2.5 years. It was a struggle. It was a big struggle, but we persevered, and we were determined not to come back home to Sacramento with nothing. We were definitely not going to do that. We were there, and we were not going to call our families and let them know how bad we were doing, even though they knew. We didn't want moms to worry about us, and we just stuck it through because we believed in the dream. Believing is everything. And so finally, it happened for Flip first. Flip got his first call through the grace of Robert Brookins. So, I mean, we're down there almost. Man, I'm telling you, man, about 2 years making, $100 maybe. If we were making $100 2 months back to back, we were doing good. We were happy, but we were making $100 like every 3 weeks if we were lucky.
Wow.
And finally, man, Robert Brookins called Flip from North Carolina. And Robert Brookins at that time was Stephanie Mills. He was working real close with Stephanie Mills. So he was, producing her and working with the band. And so they needed a drummer. They actually needed a drummer and a bass player, right? So when Flip got the call, we were staying with this lady in Redondo Beach, man, and her family, man. And when Flip got the call from Robert Brookins, I was ear hustling over the, just kind of ear hustling. Robert was talking to Flip, right? And he was saying, yo, man, we need this drummer, we're looking for a new drummer, new bass player, blah, blah, blah. Man, Flip, I really need you. I'm gonna send a limo for you are you available? Of course he was. Sent a limo to the house the next day. Flip was on his way. But when Flip hung up the phone, he was saying, yo, man, that's Robert, man. Call me for the Stephanie Mills gig. I'm like, cool, And man, he said something about needing a bass player. So I'm like, oh wow, really, man, cool bass. So what about me? What about me? Type of thing, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
So Flip told me, he says, D, they're gonna call me back. He's gonna call me back with more details and let me know what's happening. So a couple hours later, he calls Flip back. Flip asked him, so you mentioned about bass player, and Derek is out here with me, and he said, man, Flip, man, I'm going with, we need a bass player, but I'm going with Gordon Jones, who was another local bass player at the time, great bass player. And he says, no, I already got Gordon Jones, but I'll try to keep my eye out open for him. But man, let me tell you, it didn't bother me one bit. I didn't trip, man. I just so happy for my brother. And we were down there. We had a 75 Pinto station wagon that was raggedy as all get out, that was smoking up the whole everybody in Hollywood.
Bubble back window.
Yeah, man. We barely had money to keep gas in it, let alone get maintenance and tune-ups. So, but right then and there, man, Flips told me, he says, Derek, let me just say something to you, man. Thankful to Robert Brookins, man, we will never go hungry again. He says, listen, I'm gonna send you money every week. Just keep the Pinto going. We're gonna get it fixed. Do what you gotta do. And man, I'm gonna take care of you and send you money every week. And what that did for me, John, watching my brother finally get, I'm watching him on his way to success, right? Not instantly, over 2.5 years of struggling. But what it did for me was it released all the stress that I had to deal with every day, as just as far as getting a sandwich to eat or having a place to live, because now that pressure is off of me. So now my focus could really be, could just really go to 100% now, because I don't have to worry about where I'm gonna eat the next day, gas, car breaking down. So Flip held me down. So that allowed me to really start digging. Now we were making a name for ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
People knew it was knowing about us. So one day I get a call, and this is where it all started. So one day I get a call from a friend of mine who played keyboards, and he was doing this thing at a major level. His name is Michael Norfleet. He called me. He says, hey, D, I'm in a group called 13 Cats. And he says, man, we need a bass player in the band. We're trying to get a record deal. I'm like, okay, so what does that mean? Well, all we do 5 days a week is we rehearse 5 days a week, and everybody gets, $400 a week just for rehearsing. I said, wait a minute. Now, mind you, I'm broke as a joke, right? So back then, this was a lot of money for me. I'm like, I said, are you serious? He said, yeah, D, we have this investor, lives in Mulholland Hills. He's a rich guy, and boom. So when I get to rehearsal, it's Ken Gray from Sheila E., Carl Perazzo. It was like their band they had called 13 Cats, man. And so now we're just rehearsing every day, trying to get a record deal, writing songs, trying to get a record deal with Motown. That's when everything started, man, for me, right there. Getting with Cat Gray. At the time, he was Ken Gray. Before he was Cat Gray, Carl Perazzo, Takashi Nuwazawa, drummer. And so it was a crazy band. That's where it started for me. That was my very first experience.
What's the time span between Flip getting the call from Robert Brookins and you getting that call?
Great question. Less than 6 months. In between 3 and 5.5 months, something like that.
Yeah. That would have been a tough 5.5 months, though, if Flip hadn't been holding you down.
No, oh man, it would have been a crazy fight, bruh. It would have been crazy. But my brother, he took care, and You know, we're still brothers to this day. I mean, we grew up together, you know, as kids.
Yeah.
So for him to do that, and trust me, man, Flip he was doing his thing. Stephanie Mills was at the top of the mountaintop at that time. So, man, I'm grateful for him. That's my brother, man. So he held me down.
Yeah.
And just the stress, just the level of stress was game changer, man. I promise you, game changer.
Yeah. So this Getting the Gig series, man, we're hearing everybody's story about perseverance, about focus, and then over and over again, just like you said, faith and the right people being on your path. You know, and it's not just that you stumbled upon the right people, but you attract your energy, you know, attracts the right people, and then the right people hold you down. And, you know, excuse me. My big brother in the game is Richie Aguan, and he got the call from Robert Brookins for Earth, Wind, and Fire. So Robert Brookins was a guy who, like you said, rest in peace, Robert Brookins. He nurtured a lot of people's careers. And the other recurring theme in these conversations is the paying it forward. So, and we'll get to those things, but now, so talk about 13 Cats. Whatever happened? Was there ever a record deal, or did that splinter off into yet some more gig tentacles?
Great question. Great question. So what happened, man, we rehearsed, prepared. We wrote a lot of records. Cat Gray, man, was a phenomenal producer at that time, and the band was just awesome. So we were preparing to do a showcase at the Roxy for Motown. And we did the showcase. We put in months and months of rehearsal, did the showcase. We had some songs, some demos that we had prepared for Motown. For some reason, no, we didn't get the deal. Not at that time. We didn't get the deal. The deal didn't go through. They kind of were a little bit unsure of some of the records. We had this one killer song called 13 Cats that was just so funky. So, I mean, the band was funky, man. It was like these cats coming from Sheila. All we needed was Eddie M to jump in there and it would have been a rap. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
But no, we didn't. We did the showcase. The showcase was okay. I think they kind of turned us away, talking about maybe the lack of having a great lead singer. I can't remember, but we didn't get the deal. But here's what happened. We started getting calls, right? So one of the first calls we got a call from El DeBarge. There was a show back then called Sidekicks. It was a little karate kung fu dude that it was a series that
Ernie Reyes Jr.
So there you go. So we got the call. El DeBarge was going to be a special guest on Sidekicks. So they said, they reached out to us. They found Ken and our cat, and he said, man, yeah, we got the band. We'll just do that, right? So we did that. That was a big deal for me, John. That was a big deal for me. So big, man.
That's a national TV show.
Oh, it was national TV. John, it was national TV, man. Let me tell you something, man. It was so big of a deal, man. I flew home. I didn't drive the Pinto home, but I flew home that week of the show, man. Look here, man. I rented me a limousine.
Watched it on TV?
Man, yeah, man. No, I did, man. I did it up because everybody was in the city was talking about it, right? I'm going to be on Sidekicks, right? Family, my cousins. So, man, I got home, man.
That was a big deal. Sidekicks was on Friday night, too.
It was a big deal, like ABC or CBS. It's one of them, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
It's a 30-minute show. Not a big show, 30 minutes. I think it was the 30-minute or an hour, maybe an hour. I can't remember. But man, I rented me a limousine, dog. I caught me a limousine for my mama's house, man. Hey, John, look, I ain't got that much money now. I'm still kind of broke. I'm still really broke. You see what I'm saying? But man, I bought me a limousine. Man, I ran and I only had it for an hour, right? My mama never been in a limousine. When I got to the house, I knocked on the door. I said, Mom, let me in. My mama had hair rollers on, a robe. I said, Mama, come on, get in the car. We're going to go for a ride. She said, baby, what you got out there? I said, look, mama, it's a limo. Let's go. She said, boy, I ain't got no. I said, just hop in. I said, Mama, I'm running out of time. I ain't got time. Let's go. We go.
Curlers and everything. Get in this limo, Mom.
Hey, man, we swooped around the way, picked up my pops, man. took him for a little like 15-minute joyride before my 1 hour time expired. And man, so I was able to watch the show at home, man, and people were like, it was a big deal, right? So Sidekicks was a big deal. And then from there, right after Sidekicks, we got the call to do Shalimar, the same band.
Okay. Yes.
Same band, except we had Kurt Mascara on drums, and he was killing the gig. And Michael Norfleet, Cat Gray. We had a great band, man. We had a great band back then, man. So that's how the Shalimar thing came. And Cat was like, hey, man, we'll just be a band working for everybody in the meantime.
Sounds pretty good.
And then later on, real quick, years later, they kept the group together and they ended up getting a deal. I'm not sure if it was a Japanese deal or where, but they ended up getting a deal, putting out the record, and it was an explosive project. They had they continued the project going, but I was nowhere around. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was a stepping stone.
Definitely.
So from Shalimar, now you're a working touring bass player.
Yeah.
Where to go from there?
I went from Shalimar to Troop.
Come on.
In their first Mamacita out. But here's what was the greatest thing about it. Flip was out for a year and a half or whatever. I'm out with
Stephanie
Shalimar.
Mills. Mm-hmm.
We both get the gig with Troop at the same time.
Come on.
It brings us back together.
Yes.
And I'm gonna tell you something, man. I've been blessed, man, to be a part of some great situations, and I'm very thankful to God for it, man. I'm very thankful for the blessings and some major tours in my life, man. Great experiences, the whole thing, man. But I tell you what, playing with Troop was the best tour I've ever been on in my life, simply because we were making very little money. The money was very, very little to none. We weren't making no money. It wasn't even about the money. It was about the brotherhood, man. Our brotherhood was so strong, man. Those guys, they were like the Beatles, man. They were like rock stars. So we had so much fun. Every time I see Steve or John, we just look at each other and just crack up laughing. We just, even to this day, we had a bus that slept 6 people, but we had about 18 people on the bus. So the bus was breaking down. The bus was called the Green Machine. But man, when I tell you, I had the time of my life on that tour. Now here Flip come from making massive money with Stephanie to making very few dollars. But Flip was doing it because it brought us back together. Stephanie was off for a while, so it was perfect. So I think the Troop tour lasted close to 8 or 9 months, man. It was so much fun. So it went to Troop there. Troop, yeah.
Well, the thing about Troop, they're from Pasadena.
Yep.
Which, in the grand scheme of the greater Los Angeles area, is kind of like being from Sacramento.
Exactly.
So the way that they gelled, and then so that's where you made the Chucky connection, I imagine.
Well, so here's the problem. Let me tell you when I first heard about Chucky, because it deals with Troop. Their first album, the Troop album with the Mamacita, that was the big hit.
Yeah.
Then they had this. Then the second single was this joint called "My Heart."
My Heart and Chucky. Come on.
So,
because everybody knows he's a cold keyboard player, but he's a real bass player.
Well, I didn't know. This is my first time even knowing who he is. I was hearing his name float because with T's, right? With T's. So
yeah.
When I got this album, I said, "Okay, what song is this?" They were like, "That's My Heart, man. That's gonna be our next single." I said, "Who's gonna play this?"
Right.
He said, "They were like, D, you gotta play it."
It's you.
Y'all lying to me. So that's when I really got a whiff of who this man was, and I said, "Dude, you have got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding." So I met Chucky even before Troop. I met him. They had a group in LA called Rama or something like that. local band, and I knew the guitar player, and Chucky was producing Rama in the studio. And the guitar player took me to the studio while Chucky was working. And it was one of them Hollywood things. I was like, okay, when can we meet? Well, we can't bother them now. You know, when can I go in? So I think I waited 2 hours, man. Right? And they opened the door. Chucky was just doing his thing. And it was just, hey, man, I wasn't DOA then. Chucky's the one who gave me DOA. I wasn't DOA then. Okay. So I just gave him a pound. That's it. All right, man, good to meet you. And I was out. That was it. I think he may have came to one troop show that I remember in Anaheim. But we didn't really talk then. So from Troop, it went to Karen White.
Aha.
And the way I got the Karen White gig was John Paris was working with Karen at the time.
Okay.
And Karen White, they just so happened to be rehearsing where we were rehearsing at Troop with Troop, right? So John was ear hustling. So he heard me on bass, and he hit me up. He was like, "Yo, what's happening? When is this gonna be over? Because we getting ready to, right?" Man, maybe a couple of months later, man, I got a call from John Paris. He said, "Yo, dude, we need you." And I was like, for real, Karen White was just getting ready to blow up. And so that's how that happened. And I met, it was crazy. Bobby G and I both live in Sacramento. Mm-hmm. Bobby G and I never played in a band together, ever. I knew of Bobby, but I didn't know of Bobby. I knew of Bobby, but I didn't know of Bobby. I just used to hear about this Bobby G guy. And then they had their band All This One and all that stuff. So, Bobby and I didn't hook up until Karen White after all of these years. He went to one high school. I went to another. It was crazy. And we hooked up on the Karen White gig. And that was a kick-ass band, man, right there. The Karen White band was kick.
Ah, man, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
You can't beat that rhythm section. So did you know John Paris from up here at all? He's a few years older than you, right?
No, I didn't. Yeah, he's a couple of years older than me. I knew of these guys because, man, I used to watch the Baby Turn On Your Love Light, Light. And my favorite person in the band was the drummer because John had that thing swinging. Yeah. I was like, whoever this dude is,
he's cool.
Man, I overlooked one of the main guys, man. I overlooked O'Brien. I can't do that.
Oh, man, come on.
It just brought back me talking about O'Brien. O'Brien was the first one to give the first one to give me an opportunity. But as a guitar player, because they had the great Melvin Davis. Melvin Davis was the bass
player.
Davis. And Melvin was scary, man. I used to just look at him and be like, man, how could you ever get so great at that time? So we did an episode. They did Soul Train, and they needed a guitar player. So I filled in for Romy. Romy he couldn't make
Romy Geroso.
That's Brian's guy. So Brian gave me a shot to be on Soul Train with him, and that was another
fantastic.
Another highlight. Absolutely.
Yeah. We got to get OB on this show too. We had Charles Quinn, who's his bass player now, on the show.
Oh, Charles is playing?
Yes. And cool. You know what? Just a side note, you grew up in Vallejo. I went to Hogan High School, graduated 87, and Charles Quinn graduated 84 from Hogan. And he was the baddest musician in Vallejo. And that's saying something because Confunction is from here. And we always used to, maybe misguidedly, but we'd be like, oh yeah, man, Quinn is as bad as Confunction. Of course, he was a kid, so he probably was still working on it. But to us, he was just otherworldly. He was that bad. And then a couple years ago, I played the 1984 Hogan class reunion. And even though I graduated 87, I promise I had more fun than everybody else because all the bad cats graduated in 84, and I got to play with all of them that night. So Charles Quinn, chief among them. We've become good friends since then. And so I love Charles Quinn, but his his journey, a lot like yours, is all about perseverance and the right people being it. And one of those right people definitely was O'Brien.
Wow, right on, man. That's
Yeah.
that's what it is. Same with me, O'Brien. I love OB, right, man, to this day, man. He's just a phenomenal. First of all, just a phenomenal dude. Then one of the world's greatest artists of our time. Period.
Yeah.
Hands down,
Yeah.
one of the greatest R&B artists and writers and songwriters of our time. So, shout out to OB.
Yeah. So now the Karen White band, it's the rhythm section is you and John Paris
Ooh.
laying it down. That's ridiculous.
Man, it was amazing, man.
So, and like you said, this is the emergence of Karen
Yes.
White. So you guys kicked the door down and was like, all right.
We had to, so our first big thing, I mean, we did a lot of gigs, Karen. We went to London and we did a lot of things. Then we landed the Don't Be Cruel tour with Bobby Brown, and we were opening for, it was Karen White, Levert, and Bobby Brown. And that tour lasted a long, long time. And we were the opening act. So you know how they treat the opening act, man. They give you this much of the stage. The stage is like this, right? They only give you this much, They give you a couple of flashlights for your lights, you know what I'm saying? They hit the power
one monitor.
Man. Hey, they hit the power buttons, man. Now you're on a realistic sound system. They hit all the switches, but we didn't care, John. We didn't care, man. We was going for blood. We was going for blood on the road. We didn't have no lights, man. We didn't have no stage. But let me tell you, man, Karen White, at that time, man, she was and she's really it even now. Now she's really it. But at that time, she was becoming a young Tina Turner, Tina Marie, all mixed into one. She was becoming that. See, people didn't see that. They saw the pop side, the pretty thing. But Karen on stage, she was developing her funk. And what was cool, our band, everybody could dance. Everybody could sing. Everybody could sing and play. We had to. We had Eddie M. Oh my goodness, the great Eddie M. Michael Norfleet, the amazing Roman Johnson. We had a crazy band, man. John Paris, myself, the funky ass Bobby G. It was a funky band. And let me tell you, man, we was causing problems on the tour. We was giving them problems. I promise you that. We made it difficult, especially, our show never changed. We kept our show the same. So at the beginning of the tour, a couple of them groups had to figure out how to readjust they set list, man. We was giving them problems.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So when the opener comes out cutting heads,
oh man,
things get unsettled.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
and what was cool about it was probably, the opening act is usually when people are arriving or going to the concessions to get their drink and the popcorn and the hot dogs and all that. But
get settled. Take your time.
Surprisingly enough for us, man, we had about song 1, we had about 85% of the house. By song 3, we had the whole house because we're setting up for, The Way You Love Me, Superwoman, Secret. Man, Karen had monster hits. And Secret Rendezvous, she used the whole band in the video, which was cool, so it was fun, man. I love that tour as well. The band, all my brothers, man, was just phenomenal and still to this day.
I could just imagine people in the hot dog line like, did you hear that? Man, we got to get in there.
Absolutely. It was like that, man. I'm telling you, man. Karen was like all over that stage, man. And even now, close to 40 years later, however, 30 plus years later, she's still killing the game.
Yeah.
And all those guys in the band, are so successful, great careers. Of course, man, I was just in awe on stage with Eddie M, especially the experience that he just came off of, man. I'm playing with Eddie M. I can't believe it. And he's just so funky, man. He's so funky.
He's so good. Eddie was living in San Jose, which is about an hour for our viewers, about an hour from where I live. And then I was about 15 minutes from where I live, walking in Costco. This is just a few months ago. And I was walking down the aisle in Costco and was that Eddie M? I was like, man. And then just coincidentally, I saw him at a show at a bar not far from my house. And so, I walked up, talked to him, and I said, man, I thought I saw you in Costco the other day. And he goes, yeah, it just moved. So he lives probably 15 minutes from me now.
Oh,
And I
cool.
was like, yeah, I knew that was you. And he was like, man, you should have said something. Um, this roster of musicians that you're playing with, the Karen White band. So it was Bobby
Yeah.
Brown, and
Yeah,
then
yeah, Bobby Brown tour, the Don't Be Cool tour. Yep.
yeah, and then who was the middle act?
Levert.
Levert. Okay, so
They
you
had
have
massive hits.
yeah, and Levert. I mean, this is such a strong bill,
Mm.
and for the opener to have been this monstrous band, this is how, for our viewers, this is how you get gigs. You
It's
have
just
an undeniable presence in the show
absolutely.
because later, you would eventually make your way to Bobby Brown's band. And clearly, there had to be so many nights where he was observing the Karen White band going, man, these guys are killing.
Well, that when we get to that story is interesting. That's the
Okay.
interesting story because it was Janet before, right? But
Oh,
that,
Janet,
that
before Bobby.
yeah, so that
Okay.
Karen White band, and me and Bobby G, man, we're like, it was just like a, two piece in a biscuit, man. We just, one of the funkiest guitar players walking this planet, man, is that dude. Hands down, is that dude, and the energy and the vibe. So Karen, she thrived off of everybody's energy. Her energy was just as strong as ours. So we had to thrive off of her, because Karen had energy and still has it to this day.
Yeah.
So that's what made, we were an entertaining band. We were very entertaining, man. We had to dance, and I was the worst dancer. Them guys taught me the dance moves and trying to, hold it down. But
Yeah.
we had so much energy, and it was so much fun to where a lot of those guys just basically told us, they said, listen, man, you guys are burning up the stage. Everybody, we root for one another, because when you are on a tour, you want to root for one another. That way the tour is amazing. And then you never know. The promoters might say, we got to do this again. It was just a great run. Every act was killing the house. You don't want to hate on the next act and say, oh man, we're gonna beat their ass. No, we want everybody to be strong. You got friendly competition, but you want everybody to be strong. Everybody.
Mhm.
That makes a great tour, man. Then they might bring it back and keep you working even that much longer. So that tour was really strong. We was really getting it set up. Our group with Karen, Levert, we was getting it set up for Bobby, really. And Bobby at that time was coming off of Don't Be Cruel, so we was trying to get it ready for them. Yes, sir.
Okay. So now there's three things about a gig that make a gig, make a gig worthwhile. And it's the music, the money. If the music's good, right on. If the money's good, right on. And then if the camaraderie, if the hang is cool. So for our viewers, when you find a tour like this, where all the musicians are good, the music's good, everybody's getting paid right, so there's a bunch of jealousy on the bus and all of that weirdness, which who knows, there might have been, you didn't touch on that yet. But also when you have that supportive environment where everybody is killing, but also everybody wants everybody else,
Absolutely.
to elevate.
I think you're onto something. I think it's important for people to know, number one, if you're in this for money, you lose already.
Mm-hmm.
I just told you guys that
that Troop tour. Yeah.
My favorite tour was Troop. We were making $300 a week and $100 per diem. I said, that's my favorite. It had nothing to do with money. It's if you love what it is you do and you're great at what you do, the money is going to be there, y'all. Please trust me. Don't worry about the money. If it's about the money, then you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Right. And then even before the money, you want to have a good camaraderie, like he said, with guys, and you want to be able to get along with your brotherhood in the band. Now, you don't necessarily have to, and you're not trying to. If an artist is cool, you are truly blessed. But don't go thinking you're going to be buddy up and pals with the artist, because one thing you always got to remember, that we are sidemen. I was on my man Chaotic show a couple of weeks ago, man, and he asked me this bomb question. He asked me, what's the difference between making money in the business and building wealth? Great
Whoa.
question. What's the difference between the two? Making money or building wealth? And my answer was simple. It's ownership.
Mm.
Ownership is your wealth. You're going to make money because you'll work for hire. We are nothing but side men, which means they could fire you, they could hire you, they could change the whole band in a split second of a minute. You're not the artist, you'll work for hire. As long as you work for hire, you're investing in building that artist brand. Don't get it twisted. I doubt something happened to you and something happened. I don't expect the artist to come to your rescue because they don't have to. You'll work for hire. So I tell all musicians, young or old, protect your wealth. Number one, understand your value. When you're doing things, it's important for you to understand your value and your worth. Your worth, your network is your net worth, but you got to understand your worth. Understand your value. All right. When people, come to you and they say, okay, this gig pays this. Cool. I'm new in this business. This gig pays this. This gig, okay, 2 years already. No, I've done some good things. I want to be, what do you charge? I want to be one of those, what do you charge guys? When you become that guy, that's when things really start to change.
Wow. Man, I appreciate this piece of wisdom here. This is incredible.
Absolutely.
So at this point, are you thinking about this while you're on this tour?
Great question. Great question. I didn't think about it until after Janet.
Okay.
I started thinking about it, man.
Yeah. At that point, you had seen it more than once.
I saw it more than once, but I'm still new. I'm still green. I haven't hit that life-changing experience at that moment. So after Karen White was the Janet Jackson gig. And that gig, I got that gig through a kettle call of musicians. It was a huge audition. And I want to lay this on your people too. This is important because we're talking about getting the gig, correct? Getting the gig.
Yeah.
How do we get the gig? Things we got to do to get the gig. Well, let me share a little bit of my story on how I got the Janet Jackson gig. It was a kettle call. At this time, I'm still not DOA. I'm still Derek Allen. But Chucky and I had made a connection. Chucky and I's connection came. We were doing the WIA convention with Karen White in Florida, right? We played on like a Thursday night. Chucky Booker was going to be playing on a Friday night. Now, at this time, Chucky's first album was out, Turned Away. Chucky was hot as fish grease. Everybody knew this phenomenal musician. He was killing the game. And so we wanted to stay an extra day to see Chucky Booker. So Karen treated everybody and said, hey, everybody, you guys want to stay an extra night to see the Chucky Booker experience? We was like, I do. We all want to stay, right? We all want to stay. And so we stayed over. And Chucky saw me. And so Chucky remembered me from Troop. And he was like, D, what's up? But I knew some of the other guys. I knew Derek Organ. I knew Thomas Organ. Not that well, but I knew Cornelius Mims because Cornelius Mims was one of the first guys I met when I moved to LA. So I kind of knew him. I knew him more than anybody because I would see him in passing, but I didn't know him. But anyway, man, Chucky said, yo, you staying? You checking? I said, man, we're staying, bro. We can't wait to see you play. So he said, well, after the show, we're going to go up to my room. We're going to have a little jam session. He says, bring your bass. I said, man, really?
Okay.
Like, cool. So Chucky, first of all, man, it was the experience of a lifetime watching him light up that stage. We all were in awe. It was incredible. So directly afterwards, I go upstairs. His band is up there, and they're having like just some jam session, man. They're just sitting.
Cornelius in the band?
Cornelius was in the band.
Okay.
Cornelius was in the band. So when I went upstairs,
his band essentially was Tease, right?
That's right. His band was Tease. Exactly. Rex Silas, Cornelius Mims, Tommy Organ, Derek
Organ Brothers.
Brothers. Yeah. So when I get up there, Corny hadn't got there yet. So Chucky's like, yo, man, plug your bass up. Right. So I said, cool. So one thing that attracted me as a bass player that I was so attracted by Chucky, he has a song on his first album called Keep Your Guard Up. And that song is so funky, and he's playing pick bass, right? Ken Gray from Sheila's band, he was the pick bass king, right? And I'll never forget being in the studio, backing up a little bit, when we were recording our record with 13 Cats. He wanted me to play with a pick on Cat Gray because he wanted a funky pick bass sound. So I said, oh man, I don't have a pick on me. And he says, well, it's okay. He was disappointed. So that "this okay, John" wasn't good enough for me. I said, no, it's not good enough for me. So I reached in my pocket and I said, whatever coin I pull out, I'm going to use it. So it happens to be a penny.
Okay.
I pull out a penny and I'm doing the session. And, and so Cat stops. He says, dude, I thought you said you didn't have a pick. I said, no, I'm using the penny. He said, bro, don't ever use a pick. Always use that penny, right?
Wow.
Always use that penny. Now, moving fast forward, when I'm up in Chucky's room, he says, man, we're just going to jam. So we jamming. John, the first thing I did was went to the penny because Chucky has this mutant style that he plays. And then when I started playing with the penny, everybody in the room just lost it. And I'm not doing nothing difficult. I'm doing basically what I played in the third grade. I'm playing some quartet music, right? So everybody loses it. Everybody just goes crazy. So now Cornelius walks in. He picks up his bass. They start jamming. And Chucky says, hey, man, hold on. Chucky hands Cornelius a penny. He said, man, what can you do with this? He said, what's that, man, a penny? No, I play with a pick every once in a while. Chucky said, yo, D, pick your bass up, man. So now I'm back on bass and I'm playing. And everybody's losing it, man. So I'm playing this real funky stuff on this penny and I'm doing my thing. Man, after the jam session was over, Chucky came to me. He says, yo, I'm going to be on the road for 3 weeks. As soon as I'm done, I'm calling you. I want you to come to LA and hang out. Man, I didn't think nothing of it. 3 weeks later, Chucky Booker calls me to come to LA to play on That's My Honey, the remix. And that's where my career started with Chucky. It started with Chucky. So now doing these auditions, they were like, I don't know, man. It was like 5 days of auditions. Bass players from all over the world, John. So, and I'm talking about bass players every day, with the tags and numbers on them. They're just anxiety. You're getting nervous. You're just, and then it was at Lee's rehearsal studio. So everybody was kind of ear hustling what everybody was doing in the room. The bass player, because you had to take a solo. So everybody's ear hustling and seeing who's doing what,
who's doing what. Yeah.
Here's the problem. They were either doing Louis Johnson, they were doing Victor Wooten, they were doing either Stanley Clark or Jocko or Larry Graham on their solo. Every bass player. So I'm listening, and I promise you, I prayed to God. I said, God, you have to give me something different to play. You got to give me something different. I can't go in there. I don't even play bass like that, but I can't. There's nothing to me that's special.
Yeah.
Man, God said to me, just like I'm talking to you, he says, play a quartet drive, pick up your penny.
Reach in your pocket.
And he says, and don't move. And I'm like, a drive? Play a drive. Well, man, long story short, I went in my solo. I played this bass line by Richard Wallace from the Mighty Clouds of Joy called I Came to Jesus or I Made a Step. It's a quartet groove. And people who are aware of quartet music know what it is. On my solo, I played that type of bass line and I didn't move. And I'm telling you, man, it shook the whole room up. Janet was up in the balcony, kind of in a silhouette. You could see her stand up, throw her hands up. When I left the room, everybody in the room said, oh my gosh, dude, what's your name? Who are you? Man, what were you playing in there? That was incredible. I got that.
You just made Janet testify.
I bet she had the Holy Ghost, bro. I'm telling you. So that's how I got it. A few weeks later, they called me and told me I got the gig. One thing about that job, a lot of people were thinking that Chucky Booker, because he was my friend, he just plugged me in and gave me the gig. No, everybody had to audition for that gig. All of us. Janet handpicked each and every last one of her musicians. So I want everybody to know right now, I earned that gig. Chucky didn't give me that gig. I earned it and worked for it. That was my gig for me to take, and I took it. And through the grace of God, I earned the gig, and that was life changing for me.
You know what? Just because we had Chucky a couple weeks ago, I happened to hear from him that most of that band on that Rhythm Nation tour were guys from Tease, but not Cornelius. And so you, if anybody could say, hey man, this was absolutely not a he's my friend gig. You because you beat everybody in that room, including Cornelius.
And not only Cornelius, so Dave Barry. So here's the story. I don't know if Chucky broke it down, but Tommy O didn't get the call. See, Janet had one person that she had in the band that didn't have to audition. That was this guitarist named Basil Fong. Basil Fong did not have to audition. That was Janet's friend.
Yeah, but that was it.
That was it. But
so
everybody
she wasn't
else
auditioned. She wasn't even looking for guitar players.
Everybody had to audition. Chucky used Tease because those were his go-to guys. But they wouldn't even guarantee the gig. And I'm gonna tell you, here's what.
And man, everybody in Tease was bad.
Here, I'm gonna sum it up for you. Tommy O was in Tease, original member. He didn't get the gig at first.
Didn't get the gig. Yeah.
Dave Barry, me and Dave Barry were the two guys from Tease that didn't get it. But don't get me wrong, everybody earned it. Derek Organ, Timbali wasn't in Tease neither.
Okay. Yeah.
Rex was
right.
So Tommy O didn't get the gig. They used Dave Barry and this other guy, Basil Fong. It was one day we were rehearsing. Jimmy Jam showed up at rehearsal, heard the band, pulled Chucky to the side. He says, yo, great band, but why isn't Tommy O in this band? Chuck was like, hey, I didn't make the call. He said, don't worry about it. I'll get with you later, Chuck. Next thing we know, Tommy was in the band.
Okay.
That's how that happened.
Wow.
And it was a phenomenal band. Phenomenal. Chucky put every inch of that, because there's some other stuff, kooky stuff that's going around. Listen, Chucky Booker by himself built that show along with he took Janet's ideas and he built it, he put it together, and he had a good crew to help him execute that whole thing. And it was just, I'm grateful because it was her biggest, it's still to this day, her most successful tour ever. We just that Rhythm Nation, the whole thing just got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I can say I was a part of that. So I'm just so glad about that.
I saw you at your hometown. I saw you at the Arco Arena. That tour, man, that was a show. I and then it hit home for me because I had never met or even known about Rex Solis at the time, and I'm from Guam.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that night I remember when she called everybody out for solos, and she said, ladies and gentlemen, the world's funkiest Guamanian, Rex Solis. And I was like, how do I not know this guy? First of all, I thought I was the world's funkiest Guamanian. And then Rex came out and burned. Of course, everybody in that band was just, burning. That was so good.
Yeah, that was amazing. I was so thankful for that opportunity, John, because now that was life-changing, game-changing on a bunch of different levels for me. Bunch of different levels. I mean, here I am playing with the biggest artists in the world, right now. And I'm telling you, man, we were doing shows that was just, 7 nights at the Forum, and we were selling out, man. It was unbelievable.
Fantastic.
And so I'm thinking now I'm thinking about the other thing. For me,
it's nice to hear that you guys had all these successes, but the thing that, as a person who saw that show, you walked out of the arena after that show changed. That show was so strong. There was no soft spot in anything. You had the dance moves, and then Chucky brought up that, Patrice Rushen came on afterwards as musical director, and she brought her own band, and Janet, love to Patrice Rushen, and I'm sure everybody in that band was smoking, but they showed up with music stands. And Janet said, "Oh no, 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 we can't have this."
Well,
And then the thing that she missed about the band that, you and Chucky had, that band could
yeah,
do everything.
yeah, yeah. Well, what happened was, man, what happened was, let me dig a little deeper if you don't mind. What happened was,
Yeah, please.
Chucky didn't do the European run with us.
Oh,
He didn't do Europe with us because something happened. Because we were opening band. We were the
Mhm.
opening band, and they needed the opening band for Europe to pay a price to do it. And Chucky was like, "No, I'm not doing that. I'm going to go back and go home and start cutting on my album. I'm not, So he still could have been the musical director, but here he is, the opener. So he refused. He turned the offer down, and he went home and started working on his album. Rex Silas took over the MD chair, and it was not the same, period. So here's where the blow was, Johnny. And I want everybody to understand and hear me good. Hear me good, man. We did that tour for over a year. It was a phenomenal gig. We rocked the whole world, man. Now here's time to regroup the tour. They get ready to do it again. We all got phone calls. Everybody in the band got phone calls from management. And the calls went like this. The call to me was like, "Hey, DOA, yes. So we're getting ready to just crank back up with Janet's thing, and we're going to be doing this and that and this and that, and Chucky Booker is not doing this tour, and we're going to want everybody in the band to re-audition." I said, I said, what? Whoa. First of all, Chucky's not doing it. Who's doing it? Patrice Rushen is going to be doing it. Just my call for me. And we need everybody to audition. Guys, people, understand, when you get a call like that, they're basically saying they don't want you back. Don't even immune yourself. So
wow.
in love, I politely declined to go back and audition something that I played, music that I played, that I helped build for over a year. I said, you guys are basically sending us a message that you guys want a switch of band.
And you heard it loud and clear.
I heard it loud and clear. And none of us went. Only one person. I'm not going to mention his name.
Yeah.
But I tried to talk him out of it. I said, "Bro, don't go down there. They're going to embarrass you." "Well, man, I know, me and the dancers are cool, man. I'm going to go down there and hit this shit." I'm like, I said, "Dude, don't." And sure enough, they treated him like crap. They embarrassed him.
Wow.
And then they brought in Patrice Rushen, which had, when they told me Patrice Rushen, I said, "I love Patrice Rushen."
Yeah.
Dope. But I'm not sure what Patrice Rushen got in common with Janet Jackson. I just don't understand.
But why? Yeah.
I just didn't get that part of it. I was like, wait a minute. Okay, I'm missing something. Do you hear how funky? We made history with this, man, because of Chucky Booker. But hey, it's you. This is what I say. For me, we're all side dudes. We can be replaced. They didn't have to call it.
Yeah.
They didn't have to. It was, we wouldn't on no retainer, or we didn't have no 2-year. I wouldn't do that anyway, or get no 2 or 3 year contract with Janet. No, they made a change. So now you either on the unemployment line or you're looking for work, one or the other. So don't get me wrong. When I say sideman, listen, I've been blessed to be a sideman. God has blessed me, and I know
for the best.
I know some great. Listen, if I had my brother, Daryl Jones gig, he's a sideman with Rolling Stone. I'd never leave. I'll be there till the day I did.
He's been there 35 years.
Oh, so but they're taking care of that brother, man. So there's certain gigs that there's, Nathan East is the biggest bass player, wealthiest bass player ever. You know what I'm saying? One of the greatest to ever do it. Leland Sklar, all these guys are the greatest guys. So you can have a successful career as just a musician.
Yeah.
That just wasn't my choice.
Right.
My choice, there was something else that I wanted to do. So, eventually I made a change later on down the line.
Yeah. But the other part of that is that there was a piece of your like you said, you got the message, and there's a piece of your dignity having built that show for the last year and killed. And they have the audacity to make that phone calls. Like, yeah, you're not gonna.
That part right there was just still to this day, and then the Patrice Russian band didn't last, and they ended up getting my boy Sam Sims, who's my brother. And he went in there, he killed the gig. They had a great band afterwards. It was a good band.
Yeah.
It wasn't Rhythm Nation band. There's never been another Rhythm Nation band.
Right.
Never.
And that
And
whatever it was they were thinking didn't work.
I love what she has now with my little brother Pick Funk. Oh man,
yeah.
Dude, they're killing right now.
Yeah.
Janet has had some great bass players, Ethan Farmer, Sam Sims, Pick Funk. I mean, great, but no band ever. There will never be another Rhythm Nation band, man. Never.
Right. Yeah, that was historic.
I'm just thankful to God that I was a part of that experience.
Well, I appreciate you imparting that. I'm just going to interject that this is an hour show, and it's been an hour, and we have scratched maybe 20% of the chronology of your illustrious career. So we have two options, man. I don't want to keep you too long, but I absolutely want to have you back because, man, this has not only been about music. This has been about life, about faith, about brotherhood, about perseverance, about connection.
Yes,
and
it's a lot of it, man.
I got a whole lot more than I bargained for when I said, man, we ought to get Derek on this show.
Oh, bro, like you said, man, we have the next phase, and I could come back or do whatever you want to do. It's up to you, man. We can come back, or just if you want to shoot it now, it's up to you. It's up to you. Let me know what you want to do. When I can come back, it's not a problem. But there is definitely a part two that's it gets into that. See, you asked a good question, man. The question that you asked was about, knowing, and when do you know it's time, or have you ever thought about it, or when did that part? That's the part of my testimony.
Yeah, I mean, but what was it? Those moments, or did some, did you have somebody drop that on you, like looking out for you and say, yeah? So you had to scrape that up.
It's just the way I was raised. My angels, when you have, I tell everybody to get a 5 year goal, your short, get a 10-year goal for your long. Set those goals. And with me, after, like, for example, and we'll get into it later, but with me after Janet's tour, here I am, did this massive tour, right? Now the Janet tour was great, John. We made great money. I didn't go out and buy me a big old house, and I was still living with my mother in a duplex, and I bought my mom a brand new car. That's all I did. But the rest of my money, I invested it in studio time, because I'm thinking to myself, Johnny Guild wanted to take us out on tour, because Johnny Guild opened for us in Europe. So Johnny Guild wanted to hire the band to be his band. Johnny Guild was on fire at the time, but at the time, Johnny Guild had the band, and I some of the guys did it, I didn't. Plus, Johnny had a dope bass player anyway. So I said, I wouldn't want to do it anyway. I'm gonna go home, and I don't want to. I just played with Janet Jackson.
Yeah.
No shade on Johnny, but I don't want to go backwards. Karen is my little sister. I don't want to go back to Troop. I can't go back to Karen because now I'm trying to protect my value now.
Yeah.
See, if I go back, this is why I tell people to protect your value. If I go back and start playing with Troop again, people are gonna be like, "Oh man, DOA must be doing bad now, man. He back with Troop, or he back with this, he back with that." So me. If I couldn't play with the next phase, for me, this is me, nobody else. And these are all Karen's my little sister. I love her to death. I'm working with Karen now. Me and Karen's working together. And I did go back and I did MD for Karen not too long ago. So it has nothing to do with pride or nothing. It's about protecting your value as a musician. Right. So if I wasn't going to play with Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson had Don Boyette. He had his band. I wasn't going to play with Lionel Richie at the time. He had his band, so I said, well, that's when I started getting into songwriting and producing. That's when I started getting off of that. And that leads to how I hooked up with Bobby Brown and got the Bobby Brown gig.
Aha.
It leads into that, and it talks about, you know, how Bobby Brown really discovered me. See, Bobby Brown was hanging out on the Rhythm Nation tour. Bobby Brown came to about, I don't know how many shows, because he was, you know, he was in love with Janet. So he would show up and, you know, try to check on Janet. And I would see Bobby Brown pop in and out. And, you know, he would come and give me all his love, but he was, you know, causing so much anxiety, so many people around the Janet cap. And they was looking at me like, you know, why are you so close friends with Bobby Brown? Are you giving them our schedule? And I'm like, Bob, you gonna get me fired, man. Stay away from me when you come.
Yeah. You're making everybody nervous.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. So we'll come back and we'll talk about, we'll pick it up right there because a songwriting moment is how I hooked up with Bobby. It was nothing but God's grace, faith, believe. You're not going to believe it, man. It's crazy how I got into the whole songwriting thing.
Well,
You know?
why don't we do this? I think that is its own segment. And so you've set the table now by describing your emergence as a sideman, but this is a whole different phase of your career, of your life, really, and of, like you said, your value, your worth as an
Right.
artist. And I think
Right.
that deserves its own show.
But
So
it still has to, but don't get me wrong, because it still has to do with sideman. See,
I get that, because we got to talk about Lionel Richie, because there is, I mean, after Rhythm Nation, you know,
after Rhythm Nation, there was TLC.
Where do you go from there? Well, where do you go from there?
After Rhythm Nation was Bobby, a tour with Bobby, then TLC, then New Edition. Then Time. I did the Time, then New Edition, then Lionel. But what was crazy? So so there's some meat on this bone, man. There's a lot of meat on it, and when we do it the next one, it'll you know, I could wrap it up in probably within an hour. I could wrap it all up for you.
Okay, all right.
Really
let's think about that. But let me just ask you, because let's see. I think I saw you with the Time too.
Yeah.
I saw you with the Time, and I don't remember where that was. I remember it was outside, but I didn't until you said that. I didn't realize. Oh yeah, that's right.
I only did one run with the Time. That was in Japan, Yokohama Arena.
Oh, okay. That was in Japan. All right.
Yeah, just. But man, I tell you, man, there was me and Bobby G. We got the call directly in the studio. Just hanging out, writing music. And Jerome Benton called me and Bobby. This was after the Time.
Jerome made the call.
Jerome made the call because we knew. So I had met Jerome like years ago. Jerome was one of them dudes that was helping me when I was struggling, man. He would do things for me, right? But Jerome called. That's when the Pandemonium album came out. And then Jesse left, Jimmy and Terry left.
Right.
So they needed to replace those three. So they called me, Bobby G, and Morris Hayes.
Wow.
Yeah. They called us down there. And we went to Minneapolis and rehearsed at Paisley for 3 weeks, man. And then we went to Japan. Now, I really was trying to I was hoping and praying that gig would last. But John,
because it's the Time.
It was the Time. They just didn't have no gigs, man. And trust me, man, I stayed off the road, waited, passed up gigs, waiting on this Time thing to happen.
Wow.
It never happened. And then here comes TLC. I said, nah, bro, I gotta take this.
You gotta take it. Yeah.
I can't take it. So then that's when Freeze came back. And Freeze is, man, that's my man. He killing the gig, man. He owns that gig, man.
Wow. Well, gig. You know, you gave it a shot. That Pandemonium record too. I have emotional attachments to that record because you know it was just a different time in my life. But I loved a lot of those grooves, man. The Skillet.
Yo, man, come on, man.
Yeah.
Man.
Just I think really just Donald Trump Black version was the only thing on there didn't age very well.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
For a number of reasons, but never mind that.
I get ready to say I see why for a number of reasons.
Yeah. But if you don't mind, I would like to save that. And if you don't mind, you know, give that some thought, because man, I didn't ask you to do any prep for this episode, and I personally didn't do any prep for this episode. I just wanted it to be a conversation about your career. And man, you went deep for us.
And I'm pretty good at this, man. I wasn't even worried about it. I was like, let's do whatever it is.
I guess so.
And it'll take its own thing, you know. So I have my own podcast as well, the DOA.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, the
Okay.
DOA playlist. Go check it out, man. To where I'm doing just like you're doing, man. I'm having conversations and interviews with some of my just good friends that I admire, bass players. There's a lot of people, man. So we just kicking it, chopping it up, man. So it's the DOA playlist on YouTube.
Terrific. The DOA playlist. I'll put that in the notes as well, so people know where to get it.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
So I have a book coming out called Getting the Gig.
Right on, man.
And so you're part of this series, and the book is about really just meeting your skills where they are, because I'm not in my career where you are. And like I said, I took about 15 years off to not on purpose, just stop playing for about 15 years, raising my family.
Understood.
And then at one point, when we started this podcast, I happened to be at one of the things I did was I made my list, like who would I want to get? And of course I'm in the Bay. So I said, I really like to get Dwayne Wiggins.
Oh, wow.
So we started to try to book guests, and I found myself at Dwayne's house. And Dwayne at the time, rest in peace, Dwayne, was living in this place that he called Mindseed, and it was a warehouse where he had a sound stage, and then he lived in an apartment in the mezzanine of the sound stage.
Got you.
And Tony's would practice there, and so one day we went, visited him. I said, "Hey, I'm trying to do this podcast. What's a podcast?" And then so he said, "Yeah, I'll do it with you." And I go, "All right." And then he said, "So okay, I'll see you later. What are you guys doing later?" And I was like, if you're going to ask that question, my answer is whatever you're about to say is what I'm doing.
Right. Exactly. That's the great answer.
Yeah. And he said, "Well, there's a rehearsal happening here later, and it's Levi." And he said, "Do you know Levi?" I said, "No, but I really like to meet Levi." So he said, "All right, come back. There's come back to the rehearsal." So I came, we left, it came back a couple hours later, and I walked in there, and he introduced us around, and the band was just setting up, and the drummer wasn't there. And then the percussionist in the band was Juan Escovedo.
Okay.
And Juan and I had played together one gig many years prior to that. So like 20 years prior to that, but it was, had its memorable moments. So I said, "Juan, we've met," and I told him about the gig, and he goes, "I do remember that gig."
Wow.
And then, so Levi took a phone call real quick, and then he hung up the phone. He goes, "The drummer's going to be a few minutes late." And Juan pointed at me and goes, "He plays the drums." And so Levi went, "Okay, go play the drums." And then everybody went back to setting up, and I was like, I can't tell him no now. So I got on the drums, and I hadn't played I was wrapped in cobwebs, let me tell you. But, just like you said, that nobody came to that rehearsal to be impressed by me. So all I did was just keep time, hold it down.
Right.
Give the singer something to sit on, And then the drummer showed up about 10 minutes later, and I gave him the sticks, and he pounded him and went back. And that was like, man, I don't know why I ever stopped doing that.
Wow.
And that was the beginning of my comeback. And then oddly enough, Juan was living in Oakland at the time, and he moved. Now he lives a few minutes from me.
Wow.
So coincidentally, like I hang out with Juan all the time.
Wow, that's cool, man.
And I credit him for bringing me back.
Drums? Who was late for rehearsal?
You know what? I don't even remember who it was. I'm gonna have to ask Juan who it was.
Okay.
Because it was Levi and it was Juan. It was somebody bad. But I was so busy just being enamored with the fact that I had lost touch with playing music, and that I had this opportunity. First, I had the opportunity to meet Levi, which I of course had wanted to do, but for the day that I met Levi to be the same day that he said, "Well, get on the drums then."
Wow.
Yeah, that was magical. And so
crazy, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And
man.
so the book is about how a guy I'm pretty good. I could name 1,000 guys better than me on the drums, but I'm busy. I'm busy as I want to be. And it's all the intangible things, man. Be a good hang, be a good teammate, show up on time, be reliable, and then get out of everybody's way. But like, hey, everybody loves a blazing drum solo sometimes, but sometimes you got to be quiet.
Hey,
Get out the
absolutely, man.
way.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, do you
So-
know? I'm sure you do. You know Richard?
Richard.
Yeah, I don't know his last name, but he used to go by Butch as well. He used to play for
Yeah.
Rob.
That's my big brother. That's
Yeah,
who I
he's
was talking about. Got the call from Robert Brookins.
Oh yeah, okay, exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
That,
I saw him yesterday.
man, hey man, he's a monster, man. Tell him I said what's up. Man.
I will tell him. I will
One of
tell him that.
One of my all-time favorite drummers, man.
Me too, man. And
Yeah,
hey, blazing crazy, but
Yeah,
also knows when to chill out and let everybody else do their thing.
Is he still playing with the Whispers?
Yeah, as much as the Whispers are playing.
Yeah, he kind of slowed down a lot, right?
Yeah, they slowed down quite a bit, but he'll catch it every once in a while. I think Shalimar sometimes will bring him on, and all the old, he was in Collage and they were on Solar,
yeah.
so all the
Collage
old
is
Solar acts kind of stick together, and
Hey,
so
man. Solar. I mean, Collage.
Collage was funky.
It was funky, man.
Yeah. Oh man, I still from time to time will find myself kicking it with Dave Agent.
I was getting ready to ask you, do you know Dave, man?
Yeah. Dave. Kurt Crumpler.
Yeah, Kurt is bad boy too, man. Them boys is bad, man. You know Kenny Bowes?
No.
So Kenny
I don't know
Bowes,
Kenny.
Kenny Bowes actually played on a couple of Collage records. Did he? I don't know if he played on Alien ZZZ, but he played on a couple of jams, maybe the second album.
Yeah,
Kenny Bowes
okay.
did. Kenny Bowes played on a few records, man. I don't know who played Alien ZZZ, but Crumpler played on Kirk played on that, I think.
On the second album. Yeah.
Yeah, so they both played on it, man. Playing the Music Man's, man. Killing the game.
Yeah.
Kurt's another one. He's another bad boy, man.
Yeah, he's something else.
Dave Agent was a quiet riot back then, dude. That dude, and still to this day, man, he's still could play, man. Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he
man.
is still bad. We happened to be at the casino up here, the Indian casino, and we were celebrating my wife's milestone birthday.
Okay.
We were just up there, and Dave was with us. We were up there to see Richie's band, and while we were standing there, I saw Dave looking off to the distance. He said, was that Mike? Mike, he yelled Mike, and it was Michael Cooper.
Oh, wow.
And Michael Cooper came over. Hey, what are you guys doing here? We're celebrating my wife's birthday. He took my wife's hands and he started singing happy birthday. And of course, I'm there. My cousin Daryl's there. Rich is there. Dave's there. We all sing. So we all started singing with him.
Wow.
The casino stopped and watched Mike serenade my wife for her birthday.
Wow.
And then and everybody, and then when it was all done, hugs. And then my wife looked at me and goes, "Who was that?" I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna have to tell you on the way home."
Right. That's cool, man.
Anyway, hey man, I'm probably gonna chop off the last 18 minutes of this thing because I want to end on your words. But yeah, let's please do this again. And when the book comes out, man, I would really I'm going to say something real good about you in there because in all of these interviews, which many of them have been fantastic, but not this level of depth, man, is really a tremendous gift. And I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, man. I think it's important. Knowledge is key, for people, really going up underneath the lid and, telling that thing that helps you pick the lock on things. And that's what my career has been all about. I don't know if you got it. I don't know if I got it, but I sent you my discography. Did you get that? I don't know if
I did.
And then I sent you a link to my academy. Did you get that?
And I unrolled it. You know what? We didn't even talk about the academy.
Or we can come back. We'll do a comeback.
Okay.
But that's because the Academy, honestly, John, is the next step, even beyond production. I don't tour no more. Only dude I'll do it for is Chucky. Man, we got a record right. We got 2 records right now, man. We've been waiting on this dude. We just ready to drop him. It's phenomenal. We're gonna blow your hair back, man. I'm telling you.
Wow.
We just waiting on the book to just do what he got to do. But the next phase for me is my Academy. So even moving away from, the production thing has been great. So where I am now with production, I've got the same mentality as when I was stepping away from touring. So with production, okay, God, you blessed me so much, and so now I'm ready to move the thing. And so he put this thing about my Academy. I've been working on it for almost 4 years now, and hopefully, man, we'd be ready for doors. Hopefully, sometime next fall. That's our thing. So we can get into that. I'm really excited about that, man, for sure.
So let me just put a cap on this, because, ladies and gentlemen, our guest today has been, you know what? I think we're tapping on the edge of 3,000 episodes of this podcast.
Oh, wow.
Not all of them have been about music, but many, many of them have. And many of the people that we've talked about have been guests on the show. I don't say this lightly, man, but this has been one of my very favorite episodes ever, because we have reached into depths about real life in this episode, and we're going to go further. But I just want to say our guest today has been DOA, Derek Allen, the great bass player, the great musician, the great producer, and now I will say the great philosopher, who has taught us about value, worth, wealth, and now what you're talking about is legacy.
That's it, brother. Now, listen, man, I want to thank you, brother, for having me, and I look forward to sitting down and having some great conversation with you on the next one.
All right, let me hit this stop button.